In the U.S., the Senate is still pushing through an overnight session that's still going on at about 8 a.m. local time. Republicans are trying to lock in support for Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts. Democrats keep proposing different amendments in hopes of keeping the package from getting through. The sweeping package of tax cuts for the wealthy could see millions of Americans lose their health coverage. Economists estimate it would add over $3 trillion to an already ballooning deficit.
American people's with us. They want tax relief. They want border security. They want to make sure that we're deporting illegal immigrants. They want our military to be strong, and that's what this bill does.
We're literally going to take money from people that don't have it, that's used to pay a doctor or a hospital when they're sick. And that money is going to be transferred to the richest people in our country. And that's wrong.
Well, that bill's fate is coming down to the wire in the Senate, with lawmakers facing Trump's arbitrary July 4th deadline, which is this Friday, whether to vote for the bill or against. Unified Democratic opposition in the upper chamber means Republicans can only afford to lose 3 votes if the bill is to make it across the finish line. And the bill now has a new challenge in the form of Trump's former ally, Elon Musk. Douglas Herbert is with me on the set to take a closer look at all of this. I mean, Doug, Donald Trump is calling this his one big, beautiful bill. Now, the critics say it's definitely big, but that there's nothing beautiful about it. What are their objections?
Yeah, it's big. It's 940 pages long. And by most of the reports in the U.S. press, a lot of the Republicans now voting on this bill up or down, many of them haven't even read it, reportedly. Whether that's true, we'll never know. But look, we know the headlines about this bill and the reason that the critics say it's not beautiful. Some go even further. The Democrat from Connecticut, a Senator Chris Murphy, has called this bill a moral abomination. And the reason he's saying that is not only does he see it as a special sort of pork barrel bill just for Donald Trump and his wealthiest friends, because the tax cuts are overwhelmingly beneficial to America's richest, wealthiest people. Beyond that, its biggest cuts are targeted at America's health care programs, and most notably what's called Medicaid program. Medicaid is the specific health care program. It's a giant share of the national budget that is for low-income Americans, often Americans with disabilities, Americans who really desperately need it. And the cutting of these funds risks seeing a lot of treatment centers shut down, risks seeing rural hospitals especially shut down, and perhaps more importantly, over the next decade or so, risk seeing up to 17 million people, that is 12 million who are on Medicaid, plus others who are on the so-called affordable care, the Obamacare coverage, stripped, losing that health care coverage. The less headline news about this bill, and the reason that the critics and all the Democrats see it as not beautiful, unbeautiful, is that it cuts other things beyond just Medicare. It cuts food stamps, so people who need cash assistance to buy food in America. It cuts clean energy money for clean energy policies. It would divest a lot of money from projects that go towards solar and wind generation, all of the renewable types of energy. It would fund one big thing on Trump's agenda, mass deportations. So more money for that, more money for building more of the wall along the southern border, more prisons, more money for border surveillance. It would be more military spending, including a new missile dome system, an air defense system that Trump would like to build as well. So all of these things add up to not beautiful in the Democratic column, an abomination, as I said, in the words of that Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, because they go against the thrust of a basic care for people who are in need of that type of care.
And in the meantime, the Republicans, at least, are trying to get this bill passed by this July 4th deadline that the president put into place. And Elon Musk is giving them some extra headache.
Yeah, more and more we're seeing this rift turn into an outright rupture between Donald Musk and his former, I don't know what you call him, comrade in arms, in a sense. Since Musk's sort of ejection from his DOGE job, his government of Department efficiency job, he has been hard at work denouncing this bill. But beyond that, as you said, what is he saying he's going to do? Well, he's threatening to actually launch a new political party, a third party. This party would be presumably much less a threat to the Democrats than to the Republicans. It could split the Republican Party. What Musk has explicitly threatened he would do is run primary contest challengers against Republicans, sapping away voters from that MAGA base, potentially. This is something that could be pretty scary to Republicans, and Musk is a formidable adversary, he's proved, and someone that we know, at least in the past, Trump respects for his ambition and his abilities, let alone his riches. So, yeah, Musk is getting into this battle for a lot of reasons other than the reasons a lot of the Democrats are opposed to the bill, but it's setting up quite a political fight.
And Doug, just a quick word on why Donald Trump has established this July 4th deadline, apart from the fact that it's the Day of Independence in the United States.
Yeah, because this is a bill, Trump has had no real big legislation. He needs to score a big legislative victory. His critics say that he himself doesn't really know about the details in the bill. They say he seems to not care less about those details. What this is about for Donald Trump is his pledge on tax cuts. Whatever it takes to be able to cut taxes, $4.5 trillion worth of taxes for, like I said, mostly the wealthiest segment of American society. Whatever it takes, he's going to push that through. He doesn't bother himself with the deep dive into the actual fine print of what is in that bill. And a lot of people watching his statements in recent weeks say he seems to be learning it on the fly, learning about provisions in the bill and sometimes actually having to sort of backtrack and protect programs that are in the line of fire if this bill were to pass. And I'll just note finally, if the Senate were to pass it, and like you said, it's a tight race right now, it would have to go back to the House, which has an even thinner Republican majority than the Senate. And right there, even if you just have a couple of defections, it would be very, very difficult to get this over the finish line.
All right. Douglas Herbert, thanks so much for that look at Trump's big, beautiful